It's Freda. Yeah.
It's more than the card in the hair.
I know. I'm going to look later. Okay. I like your haircut, by the way. I like your hair.
Thank you.
It's very pretty.
Hey, tell me where we are, please. I've been away a while.
Chapter 20, verse 14, I think. Until Dina corrects.
I gave you more credit than that. I thought you were on verse 19. Oh, my. Okay. I'm here.
Didn't we finish 14?
Did we finish 14?
Yeah, we're on 19.
No, we're not on 19.
No, 15.
15.
15.
Yeah, we didn't start on the thunder.
All right, Dina, do you have anything else to say about not coveting?
Yeah, we did.
I think the word speaks for itself. No, not
Do you have
really.
anything?
Not really.
Wait, Dina, I can't hear you at all. Hold on. Why can't I hear you? Wait a second. Oh, I turned you down. Sorry, say something now. Nope. What's going on here? Why can't I hear you?
Because I'm not speaking yet?
Oh, now I can hear you. Okay. Oh, wait, I lost you again.
It's hard to hear me when I'm not talking.
No, I had your volume turned down. Sorry about that. Now, Mom, did you just mute yourself? Okay.
I was laughing so hard because you said, so Dina, do you have anything more to say about coveting? It just hit me funny.
Okay.
Okay. I think what we did, we made a distinction between covet and steal. We made quite a distinction between the two. One is to desire someone's things and possessions, and that.
Well, one was I want what you I like what you have, and so I'd like one. The other is I want yours.
Right.
Which leads to stealing.
Which leads to stealing, but
Right.
in itself is not stealing.
Right.
It's very tempting.
And we also saw all this web that's created amongst all these commandments, how they all seem to be interconnected to one another.
Right.
Okay. 15. Mom, you want to read because you haven't been here?
Okie dokie. And all the people could see the sounds and the flames, the sound of the shofar and the smoking mountain. The people saw, and they moved, and they stood from afar.
What translation are you reading?
Yeah, that's a different translation.
Rashi, Saperstein.
Huh. That's a nice translation.
Yeah,
Ours is a little different.
Different words.
Right.
Yeah, it means the same.
So I have all the people witnessed the thunder.
I have all the people saw the thunder.
Right. And Mom, yours was saw also, right?
It was present tense. All the people could see see the sounds and the flames, like Dina.
So the Hebrew is v'chol ha'am, all the people or the whole nation. Ro'im. It's not even so. It's not saw. It's are seeing. Right. Ro'im is in the present tense. So
And we have could see.
Could see maybe. Could see, and kolot can either mean thunder or voices.
Mm-hmm.
And that word is so interesting because where is it? Because earlier on, didn't we have the voice before this whole thing started? Wasn't it talking about the voice of the shofar grew louder and louder? And that was kol shofar. Hold on a second.
1916.
Or 1919, either one. Vayhi kol hashofar v'chazek me'od. So it could mean thunder, and certainly when you put it next to lapidim, which means lightning,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense to mean thunder. But it really more literally means either sound or voice. So Muriel, when you said you can't see thunder, even more so, you can't see a voice. But that's what happened. They saw God's voice. At least, I think that's what it says.
Because here it uses the word witness. It says witnessed.
Witness,
Witness,
right, okay.
which would include hearing and seeing.
Right. So witness reminds me of the Shema. Right. When you say the Shema, you don't really mean
Hear.
listen,
Right.
Israel. You mean witness, right?
Right.
Pay attention, witness. So that's a good word for this. I personally like see
See?
because there's this thing called synesthesia, which is I think it's a medical thing, where all of your senses are mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
You taste color, you see sound, you hear light, right? It's a real thing, and this may be an example of that. That everything is all mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something, and look, remember also that this is not a normal experience, right? This is God speaking,
it's not.
and so it shouldn't surprise us, I think, that the text is strange or unique or whatever.
Yeah, whoever made it up.
Witness the thunder, literally saw the thunder, but there are many such verses. You don't look on you punch you for making a stink in the answer. What? Oh, okay. It's giving us this is Ibn Ezra. He's giving us examples of. Oh, listen to this. So in the Torah, Ibn Ezra is giving us examples of synesthesia in other verses. May the Lord look upon you and punish you for making us stink in the eyes of Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
See, the smell of my son is like the smell of the fields that the Lord has blessed.
Mm-hmm.
How sweet is the light.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is, so why do we have all this mixed up? According to Ibn Ezra, is that all five senses gather in a single place behind the forehead. So according to him, because all the senses are here, sometimes they get mixed up.
Your brain is absorbing all of these things.
Yeah.
Not as a single experience, but
Right.
as a total experience.
Right.
Although thunder is an invisible sound, the nation was able to see it. That's from Rashi. This implies that at the revelation, the people transcended normal limitations of the body. Jews rose to the level where they had superhuman comprehension, so they could see what is normally heard.
We all got superpowers.
I know how you could see the sound. Sound makes vibrations.
But here's what's interesting. So you have to be very careful because it's not really sound; it's the voice.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And because what you could say, the people saw God's words. You can see words, but that's not what it says. It's the voice. So maybe they could see the sound waves, but I'm not sure.
Like you could see, like for instance, if you make that sound near water and the ripples on water.
Right.
So it's transfer to something that you can see as well as hear.
Rashi also says, before that comment, he says that not one person was blind.
Nor was one person mute.
Right. How do we know not one of them was mute? All the people answered. How do we know that not one of them was deaf? We will do and we will hear. So Rashi, I think Rashi's suggesting that there were actually sort of two steps of building us up. One was if you had an impairment, deaf, mute, blind, that was healed. And on top of that, we all got superhuman powers. So we could see what you would normally hear, we could hear what you would normally smell.
Okay, so I have kind of a riff on that. Since the verse says that all the people saw, and elsewhere we are told that they all heard and answered, the sages derived that all blind, deaf, and mute people were miraculously healed. Gur Arya explains that the Torah is perfection itself, and it is fitting that anyone who attaches himself completely to the Torah, as Israel did at the time of the revelation, should be cured of all physical imperfection.
Okay. So it wasn't that God healed them in order to hear the Torah. It's that through clinging to Torah, through hearing this revelation, they were healed. That sounds a little bit like when you go to the churches and they, I heal you, that kind of thing.
But God isn't there.
That's a little strange to me.
Yeah, it's
that
strange.
whole idea. What else? 15 through 18. Hold on a second.
So it's interesting because it mixes sounds and visions, sounds and sights for what people saw, if I'm reading the translation correctly. The entire people saw the thunder and the flames, the sound of the shofar, and the smoking mountain.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the people saw and trembled. They haven't really heard. Have they heard anything? I mean, I know in the next verse they're going to say we don't want to hear anything from God, but
No,
I don't see anything here that says that they heard.
Right.
Well, they heard the thunder.
No, they saw the thunder.
Yeah, they saw it when it was happening, so they heard and saw it at the same time.
Well,
It doesn't-
you're assuming that this is thunder and lightning like normal. You're trying to take this and put it into a natural event. This was
But it's
anything
not.
but a natural event. So it could be, you could be right. It could be that when they saw the thunder, whatever that means, they of course also heard it. It could mean that. It doesn't say that though.
It could be, if they were right there and it was happening at that moment, just like the sound of thunder that we have become acquainted to. You count the distance, how far away it is.
Right.
It wasn't far away. It was there. That means
Oh, that's interesting.
that clap of thunder and lightning appeared together.
That's very interesting. So if we
So
want
therefore,
to,
you see the thunder.
right? That's beautiful. That's very, very beautiful.
So that's based on what we've been
No,
learning.
but hold on. I've never thought of it that way.
Uh-huh.
That this spiritual storm, as it were,
Mhm.
was so close. It was right
On
there
top of them.
that they
You see
literally
the
could
clouds coming
see the
together
thunder because
to make
it
this
happened at the same
Right.
moment.
Mhm.
That's very beautiful. I like that a lot. Wow.
You have to know a little bit about something of
Yeah.
the earth, and a little bit learning.
If you're right over, if a storm is right over you,
Oh.
you still don't see and hear the thunder at the same
Oh,
time, do you?
I've heard a clap of lightning and thunder at the same
Oh,
time.
you have?
Oh, yes, it was right overhead. I said to myself, I hope the house wasn't hit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can hear it and see it. At
If
the
it's right
same
over you,
time.
it's right.
Huh.
And somebody who was struck by lightning, they probably, I don't know if they were able to hear it,
Yeah.
but it was right there on top of them.
I think you're trying to well, again, you're talking about the real world, but I think we're also talking about, I don't know how to say this, but you're wide awake. It's a sunny day in wherever you live, and it's an ordinary day, and you're wide awake. I think what was going on here was very, very different. Have you ever been like partially asleep, and I don't know, in a dreamy state or a poetic state, and you can, oh gosh, I don't know how to say it. I have experienced synesthesia, and I wrote a poem about it once. And I remember tasting the color red.
Taste the color.
And things like that. And I was in a very dreamy state. I was writing. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. I was, not my normal self, not bright-eyed and going to work. So I think it's really a state of mind very different. When you experience synesthesia, you might be in a very different state of mind than we are right now, sitting here and analyzing each word and syllable. We're being very realistic and detailed.
It
I
has
think
to be.
we're sort of in a poetic world when this happens.
Right.
Well, right. The Bible would call that being in a state of ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Right. Having.
Ooh, I knew I was in a state of ecstasy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you're in a very different place. This sounds to me uh, magical, and yet I have experienced it.
Well, it's interesting because on the one hand, it is very magical. On the other hand, it uses very real natural symbolism. Thunder,
Hmm.
lightning, right?
Right.
Um,
Yep.
the horn blasting, the
Mhm.
mountain trembling in smoke. So on the one hand, it is supernatural. On the other hand, it's uber natural.
Mhm.
Right.
Well,
Right.
or is it just that's the closest we can come with our limited language?
Ah, yeah.
With our, that's what I was saying. It's within my personal knowledge of what could happen. I am
Okay, so
transposing my, I'm
but what?
transposing
Like
my
saying that I.
knowledge into something that happened, and I had no idea what happened over there.
Okay, so Dina, what if this is a limited expression of what happened? What do you imagine did happen?
But we don't have the words, is the point. My telling you that I tasted red, it doesn't tell you anything. I know what happened. I can still remember the taste. You have no idea what she's talking about.
Right,
What is she saying she tasted red? We don't have the words.
right. But the
I
problem
think.
with connecting your experience with this is that what distinguishes this experience from any other religious experience is that traditionally it was had by everyone, right? So yes, you had an experience that you can't describe,
Mhm.
but I don't need you to describe this experience to me because supposedly I had it. And
Then you
so
should be able to describe it.
right, but so that's what I'm saying is that arguing that our language is limited,
Mhm.
I wonder if that's problematic for an experience that I was supposed to have, and I should be able to remember what it tasted like.
Hmm. Dina?
Well, I have difficulty with the concept of us all being there.
I think I do too. Yeah.
Why?
Well, at least all being there in our corporeal selves.
Okay. Why?
And it's our corporeal selves that would have the sensory memory.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wait a second. So hold on, you just raised something very interesting. So if we imagine that we were there, but in a spiritual self, then the rules of senses don't even apply, right? So we
Nor
can
language. Nor language.
our language, but we can absolutely see voices because we don't have ears anyway.
Yeah, but that doesn't take into account those actual physical people who were there, those Israelites who just came out of Egypt.
Well, it does if you you're right. It doesn't take that into account, but taking that into account forces you to believe that 2 million Jews actually left Egypt and had this physical experience at this physical space, as opposed to the idea that Sinai was actually is a spiritual space and a spiritual experience.
It can't be both?
Um,
Point not.
I, you know why I think I'm uncomfortable with the idea of it being both? Because I feel like if I had a spirit, look, it's a little bit like if my two daughters, if they one of them has a soccer game and another one has a field hockey game, and I go to one kid's game, but at the other one I just have someone videotape it for me, right? The one that I just had videotape, they're going to feel like they had a lesser of an experience because I wasn't physically there. And I think that if both were possible, I would feel a little depressed that I only got the spiritual part of it and I didn't get to be there physically. I'm not sure that made any sense.
No.
It only makes sense to your ego.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
No, yes. Yeah, I am
Right.
absolutely making an ego argument. You're right.
No, it was also the fact that even though you weren't touching the child, your presence there, the child knew it. whereas the other child knew you were not there.
So that's how I think I would feel about sign. By the way, I'm sort of playing devil's advocate because I think I agree with you that it was both. But now that I'm thinking about it, if God is going to give something to everybody, then we should all be there equally. And if not, then I think that changes, maybe for the better, by the way, my relationship with Torah. If I wasn't there physically, then honestly, I'm not sure that I feel as bound to Torah as those who were there physically. Look, we also have to wonder we also have to understand what is the relationship between the spiritual and the physical.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to have not been there? For me today, as a physical human being, what does it mean for my spirit to have had an experience before I had a body? And I have no idea what the answer to that is.
Okay, and then we get, then we have the whole black hole of reincarnation.
So you're suggesting, what are you suggesting? That
I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying it's a black hole, and it might be.
But what's the connection to Sinai? Are you saying that we were perhaps there at Sinai and then we died and then God reincarnated us into our present selves?
Well,
No.
I'm not discounting it. I'm not sure. I have trouble with the whole reincarnation business about souls getting X number of chances, but because let's face it, those souls, most of them didn't get it the first time around.
Right.
I don't think reincarnation has any place in this at all. It's what we say to each other every single week, all of that, from generation to generation to generation to generation. It's that feeling that we.
But does that mean you weren't there?
Through my generation.
Ah, okay. So it's okay with you if you, Lillian, weren't there because you had a representative there.
Yes.
Who has passed it on to you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was teaching a class at the J yesterday, and we were talking about this, and one of the women said, she called it gene memory,
Mm-hmm.
that she felt that she was at Sinai, not in a physical sense,
Mm-hmm.
but through gene memory.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was a really interesting way to think
exactly
about it.
What I was.
That it's right,
But
it's when I think of Lador Vador,
uh-huh.
I think of it in a very I don't know, a tame way. I think of it as my grandmother taught my mother,
Right,
my mother taught me. But gene memory is something very different. Gene memory is my genes that are very much a physical part of me were there in my great grandfather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a picture that I have in my room of my mother at the age of 19. That face is in my little great grandchild.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Does that do anything for you, Dina? The idea?
Yeah, I like that better. The whole concept of gene memory.
Well, it is gene memory.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I'm not comfortable with the reincarnation business, but I can pick up that faster than I can pick up we were there.
You know, it also it feeds into a little bit the teaching about when Cain kills Abel.
Mm-hmm.
God says to Cain, the damim, the bloods, are crying out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the rabbis ask, why does it say damim in the plural? Why does it just say Cain, Abel's blood? Why does it say his bloods? And the answer they give is that when you kill one person, this is nothing new, right? When you kill one person, you've killed an entire world. Because you've killed any offspring they may have, and the offspring they may have. Mm-hmm. So, in reverse almost, this is that because my ancestor was there, in the same way that if I kill someone, I'm also killing all of their future generations, the same is true in reverse. If my ancestor was there, was living in that moment, then we were all living in that moment.
It reminds me of there's a television.
Okay, and I love that. Can I play devil's advocate for a minute?
Play.
incorporate into that theory converts?
Right. It's a good question. So
Now, we do know that there was a multitude that came with the Israelites.
did you understand the question? So if we're talking about gene memory, how do converts get to Mount Sinai? Because there's a tradition that they were there.
Mm-hmm.
All Jewish souls, it says, were there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good question.
Were there some or all of the mixed multitudes that came out of Egypt? Were they also at Sinai?
Or were they not originally Israelites and moved away and then came back?
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't understand.
So
It's more
they
complicated.
modern day converts were Israelites at Mount Sinai, but over the generations, perhaps they moved away,
Mm-hmm.
converted, and then now they've come back.
It reminds me of a television program which does Ancestry. It's
Yeah.
on channel.
Yeah, it's advertising.
No, not advertising.
Finding your roots.
Finding
Finding your
stuff.
roots.
And one of the last things that this man does for these people for their ancestors is go to genes
Yeah.
and trace their ancestry, their blood roots, and you'll find that it's amazing that they may have been from South America, but way back sometime their roots are somewhere else. Their genes have come from somewhere else.
So maybe gene memory is a little too biological if we want to include converts. Maybe there's another.
Why? They have the genes.
Mhm.
They have the genes if they were originally Israelites.
No, but you're assuming they were originally Israelites. I'm not sure I buy into that. That's an interesting idea, but I'm not sure I buy it.
Oh, okay. Well, some of them might be Israelites, some might be others. For the others, what would you argue,
Mhm.
if not genes?
Right. So one option is that they were part of the mixed multitude, as Dina said. Another option maybe is that what links us back is not gene memory, but I don't know, spirit memory. I mean, something non-physical.
Something we don't know yet.
Maybe, right. Maybe something we haven't discovered
Something
yet.
we may never know.
Right.
Yeah, but that's okay. I can accept things that we may not know. I mean, there are lots of things we probably do not know.
I will say, Dina, that I don't know if I ever did this at Beth Abraham. I'm sure I did because I think I used up every good idea I ever had there. But I've done it with kids a bunch, and that is when you sort of a bibliodrama where you ask them to put themselves at Sinai.
Mhm.
What do you smell? What do you see? What do you taste? And to really just let their imaginations go
Mhm.
and imagine that you're really there.
Mhm.
And I've done that, and I have to say, imagining that I was really there is really powerful. And I don't mean to harp on this ego thing, but I think I'd be a little depressed if I had to let go of the possibility that I was really there. Even if it means I had to be reincarnated in the interim.
How
Okay,
can you
froze.
feel?
Did you guys freeze?
No. We're thinking.
I'm mulling over what you said. First of all, I want you to understand when I'm talking about your ego, I'm talking about ego in superego,
Yeah.
not David Paskin's.
No, of course.
Okay. You did that. Imagine yourself at Sinai here, one Shavuot, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. So, I mean, I could.
Is that a lack of imagination on your part?
No, I mean, I put myself in the spot, and I saw people around me, but it wasn't real. It was drama. It was play acting. I never. I mean,
That's fair.
and I never got to Revelation. I only got to people.
So I agree with that. I've never gotten a revelation when I've imagined this. I'm with you right there. I've never made it to any of the important moments. I agree. It's scenery.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get into that moment as a physical thing. Only through deep meditation, I think, can you get into that spirit.
You know, it's very
Ah.
difficult to hear you
And how
people.
can you get into deep meditation with
I'm
a
going to
group?
turn this up, Wilma.
How can you get into deep inside meditation with a group of people?
No, you can. No, you can, Lillian. In fact, I meditate a lot. In fact, when you meditate within a group, you can even have a stronger meditation. And I don't know why, but there's probably some spiritual or thing that we don't have words for to define it. When I meditate alone at home, it feels thinner. It feels less than when I'm meditating with other people who are meditating.
Mm-hmm.
Really we're just all quiet. We're not talking or anything, but for some reason, it's like when you're in show and everybody, on Yom Kippur, you think about it. When everybody is praying together, there's it's stronger. It's more than,
Mm-hmm.
for me anyway,
Yeah,
for
I
me.
know what you're saying for you, and yet.
And I like single supplements on my vacation, remember.
But like I say, I don't think I could do that in a crowd.
If you're really meditating, you're not in a crowd. The strength is there for you, but you're not in a crowd when you're meditating.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't. On a personal level, I don't. Well, since I haven't experienced it in a group,
Right, right.
so
Frequently, all talk about meditation is bibble babble, unless you already know what the person is trying to say.
I've never meditated.
The next part of this, that they fell back. Nachmanides says that our sages understood this as trembled.
Mm-hmm.
You got softer again, David. Your whole people. You all got softer.
Hold on. I don't know why we're softer. Can you hear us now?
And the people
Vaguely, yeah.
Not very loud.
Oh, they fell back and they stood at a distance.
How about now?
We're not saying it.
Nobody's saying anything, so we can't tell.
Okay.
How about now?
No! I'm going to take a potty break while you figure it out. Excuse me, ladies.
You may have to turn up the volume on your own, guys. There should be, Dina, something called Control Room on the left-hand side, maybe. One of the apps, and you can turn up the volume there.
No, I turned up the volume on my iPad all the way up. Let's see if that makes a difference. Say something now.
Hello.
That's a little better.
Okay.
I had turned you down because it was too loud when we first started.
Okay. If you use earbuds, that may in the future that may help also if you want to, or headphones.
Well, I can when I'm alone, but I can't when I'm joined by Andrew. Okay.
So in any case, so fell back. He says here, the earth is swaying like a drunkard. It is rocking to and fro like a hut. The earth was drunk, and so that's how the people fell back.
They fall back just because of the.
What's the Hebrew for fall back?
Vayanu'u.
Say it again. Vayanuhu.
Yeah, Vayanu'u. I wonder, I don't know what the...
Because my translation says the people saw and trembled.
Yeah, mine says that also.
And stood from afar.
It just says they fell back and stood at a distance.
What? Listen to this. The next part that says they stood at a distance, at each commandment, they were startled 12 miles backward, the full length of their camp. Their camp, it says, was 12 miles long.
Well, if there were that many.
And they're saying 12 miles long. And they're saying at each commandment, they were startled 12 miles back. So by the end, they were 120 miles away.
Wait. No, wait. Each commandment in that one utterance, or each commandment that they actually heard?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yeah, but then it goes on to say, and the ministering angels would come and assist them to return them.
Right.
So it was the same 12 miles every time.
Back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
12 miles. How could they even hear 12 miles back?
You are so stuck in nature, Muriel. This is a supernatural event.
Boy,
Anything's possible.
Yeah,
The tri-
yeah.
Well, but the thing is, they didn't have to hear it 12 miles back. They heard it. They backed up 12 miles. The angels brought them back. They heard it.
They didn't even. They saw it.
They saw.
Right? You just said that ministering angels brought them back.
Right.
It filled them. They felt it.
They felt it.
Right. It filled their whole soul, body.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a far really is a far.
It's miles afar. That's funny. Okay, should we do 16?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mom.
They said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we shall hear. Let God not speak to us, lest we die."
Ah.
Speak to us.
According to Ibn Ezra, it was not the people who said this, but it was the priests and the heads of the tribes who were near him. Because remember, Moses and those guys were up a little bit on the mountain, and the rest of the Israelites were 12 miles away. So this apparently was the priests and the heads of the tribes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Maimonides observes that Onkelos translates "the Lord spoke" literally when God speaks to Moses, but he translates our phrase as "let it not be spoken to us from before the Lord." In Maimonides' opinion, even though the whole people heard the first utterance of God, they did not hear in the superior way that Moses did. But if this is so, why does Onkelos translate "I spoke to you from the very heavens" literally? He translates Deuteronomy 5:22 and other verses referring to the people literally as well, while he translates "God answered Moses" with a circumlocution. That's a great word. Circumlocution? I don't even know what it means, but I love it.
Surrounding in words.
Yeah.
Surrounding
Wow.
with words.
The reason for Onkelos' translation of our verse is that they did not hear God speak directly, but from the very heavens, which according to the true interpretation means from the midst of heaven, which is the equivalent of out of the fire. In fact, it is remarkable that Onkelos does not use one of his regular euphemisms like "the glory of the Lord" or "the word of the Lord," as he does elsewhere, but has God literally reveal himself in such verses as 9:9 and 19:9 and 19:11. All this is comprehensible to one who pays careful attention to the explanations we have given. So apparently, according to this is Nachmanides, apparently the people may have heard God, but they didn't hear it in the same way that God heard it.
Yeah, because what it says here,
You mean in the same way that Moses heard it?
Sorry, Moses.
yeah, it says, "But let not God speak to us, or we'll die."
Right.
So he only speak to Moses.
And
let
Moses, right.
speak to-
Just as human eyes are blinded when they stare at the sun, the people felt themselves incapable of remaining alive if they were to hear the voice of God. The people's fear was quite rational, for prophecy is not the natural human condition. With the exception of Moses, all prophets had severe limitations on their ability to function in a normal manner while they were experiencing their prophecies. Some fell into a trance at the time of their visions, and others could see prophecy only in the form of dreams.
Yep.
So
hearing God directly would have made them all prophets. Excuse me. And
no, it's not even saying that. It's saying that of all the prophets, only Moses could hear God directly.
Oh, okay.
At least that's what I'm getting out of it.
Right.
Is that other prophets had to have some kind of a separation, either by being in a trance or dreaming it.
Right.
Only Moses could actually have a conversation.
Mm,
What about Abraham? Oh, is he considered a prophet?
sure.
Abraham?
Yeah.
But he spoke to God. He challenged him.
That wasn't.
Yeah, they did.
Was
Sure.
Abraham? Abraham?
Around
Yeah, but
Sarah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
But do we consider Abraham a prophet?
Oh, sure. Why would you not consider?
I don't know. I have him in a different hat. I have him in the first hat.
Right, right. Papa Hat.
Well, Genesis 20 verse 7 says, "Now return the man's wife." Oh, wait a second. Hold on, 27. I have to look this up because this is not. This is just.
What are you looking up?
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Genesis 20.
But why are you looking it up?
Because it says there. It says that. So this is God speaks to Pharaoh when Pharaoh had taken Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Right.
Pharaoh says, and God says, "Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet."
Okay.
So God
That settled it.
Abraham a prophet.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Gina. That one shoots us down.
Yeah, I guess there's no arguing with that authority.
No, the Papa Hat comes off.
No, he can still have the puppet hat. It's Bartholomew Cubbins, the 500 hats of Bartholomew Cubbins.
That's a good reference if God calls you a prophet.
Okay, so I'm trying to get this back in order. So God has already spoken the word, has he? And now he's repeating. Is that what's going on here?
What do you mean by the word?
Remember Shamor v'Zachor? I mean, remember this whole idea of God did the Aseret HaDibrot in one word, in one utterance, not one word, on one utterance.
Yeah.
And it was the people didn't get it, so now it had to be repeated. Is this out of order? We've just finished the Aseret HaDibrot. I'm confused about sequence of events here.
Right. You're suggesting that what should have happened, perhaps, is God revealed, boom, done. Then the people said, "We can't handle this. Moses, you tell us," and then we hear the Ten Commandments. Yeah?
Right.
Right. Okay, so let's see if this helps. From Nachmanides, the commentators place this section after the giving of the Torah, corresponding to Deuteronomy 5:23 through 25. But such is not my opinion. For they say, "Let not God speak to us." Notice that they do not say, let not God speak to us again. Here Moses tells them, "Be not afraid." But in Deuteronomy 5:25, God says of the people, "They did well to speak thus." Here it was the thunder and lightning and the mountain smoking that scared them. In Deuteronomy, it was the voice of God. Here Moses approaches the cloud, but he does not enter it. So as I see it, the incident described in 15 through 18 took place before the giving of the Torah. Having begun in chapter 19 with God's warning to Moses about setting bounds around the mountain and warning the people, it continued with the Ten Commandments. Now it goes back to tell of the people's reaction to Moses and how in their fright they fell far back from the boundary he had made. Here is the order in which things happened. In the morning there was thunder and lightning and the blare of the horn, but the presence of God had not yet descended. As in the incident with Elijah at Horeb, There was a great and mighty wind, splitting mountains and shattering rocks by the power of the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. The people stayed trembling in their camp until Moses encouraged them and led them out toward God. When they had taken their places at the foot of the mountain, Adonai came down upon the mountain in fire, and its smoke went up, to the very skies dark with densest clouds. The mountain shook as if in an earthquake, and even more so. The mountains skipped like rams, the hills like sheep. There is no more a metaphor than the previous verse. The sea saw them and fled. Jordan ran backward. The blare of the horn grew louder. The people fell back, and they asked God not to speak with them, for they had not the strength to hear God's words without dying. Only after Moses had told them not to fear did he approach the cloud, at which point God spoke the Ten Commandments. As the story continues in Deuteronomy, the tribal leaders and elders, thinking God wished to tell them all the commandments, asked Moses to transmit to them the rest of what God had to say, for they did not think they could take any more direct exposure to God's voice. God approved of this, for he had only desired to speak the Ten Commandments directly to them. He considered their fear right. But here in Exodus, the text wished to lay out all the commandments before resuming the story.
And who's that? Who was that?
Nachmanides. That answers your question. He agrees with you. He says this part is out of order.
Right, because I went back to 1916, and it says there's a whole description. On the third day, when it was morning, there was thunder and lightning and heavy cloud, and the sound of the shofar, and the entire people that was in the camp shuddered. Moses brought the people forth from the camp toward God. They stood at the bottom of the mountain. All of Mount Sinai was smoking because Hashem had descended upon it in the fire. The smoke ascended like the smoke of the furnace, and the entire mountain shuddered exceedingly. The sound of the shofar grew continually much stronger. Moses would speak, and God would respond to him with a voice.
Right.
And then Moses goes up, and God says, go down, warn the people that they shouldn't come through, and tell them this. And then Moses descended to the people and said to them, the Aseret HaDibrot.
Right. So according to Nachmanides, these three verses, 15 through 18, should be back before the Ten Commandments.
Right.
They are a continuation of the story that you just read.
Okay.
That's a really, that's really kind of the piece that Nachmanides wrote here. His description is really kind of beautiful. He really lays it out very.
I like it. Because this is me and my personal theology. I don't like the dependence upon Deuteronomy.
Right.
That's the place where I have a little bit of trouble.
Right. And he's actually trying to square the two stories. Right? He's trying to understand Exodus in relation to Deuteronomy and Deuteronomy in relation to, he's trying to square them so they make sense. So we have one not comprehensive, what's the word? One story.
David, turn the microphone more toward you.
Is your volume up as high as it goes, Freda?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How's this?
Much better.
Woohoo! Okay. Should we get Moses' answer? Why don't we read 17 and 18? We might not finish it, but let's read it because that brings us to a new thing.
Okay. Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for in order to exalt you has God come, so that his fear shall be before you, so that you shall not sin." The people stood from afar, and Moses approached the fog where God was.
Yours says, in the first verse that you just read, God had, I'm sorry, read the beginning again.
Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for in order to exalt you has God come."
That. For in order to exalt you, mine says in order to test you.
I have elevate in one book and test in the other.
Those seem like completely different things.
Well, wait a minute. It's two things here, really, because let me read that whole verse. Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for in order to exalt you has God come, semicolon, so that his fear shall be before you, so that you shall not sin."
No, I have that last part too. That doesn't change. But what I think exalt and test The Hebrew is nasot. Well, leva'avur nasot.
But he's doing two things. His appearance before the people is to do two things: exalt and test.
All right, I haven't read all of this, but let me read my commentary because I've got both. All right. Moses reassured them, saying that God did not wish to take their lives. Rather, he had made them participants in these monumental miracles in order to elevate them, nasot etchem, and to show them firsthand his awesomeness. That memory would become part of the eternal legacy of Israel, and it would help prevent them from sinning. That's from Rashi. According to others, the sense of nasot etchem is to test you. By revealing his true greatness to them, God would be able to test them in the future to see if they would be able to resist the lures of false prophets. But if they had never seen the truth, they could be too easily deceived. That's from Rambam. Alternatively, the test would be whether, now that they had seen God's greatness firsthand, that they would resist the normal human temptation to sin, or whether they would serve God unselfishly like a loyal servant whose interest is what is best for his master, not for himself. Ramban.
And Sforno says to test you means to accustom or familiarize you to the prophecy which you have merited face to face.
Read that one more time. To test you means what?
To accustom or familiarize you to the prophecy which you have merited face to face.
To test is to help someone become accustomed to something.
And merit means to.
What it's saying, to familiarize you to the prophecy which you have merited face to face. And I think it pretty much says what Dina just said. I think that's what that is saying. Once you see God, once you know God for yourself, you'll be familiar and know that this is above other gods.
So, so Ramban says something similar. He says, it means something like, in order to accustom you to faith in God, as the verb is used when David tells Saul that he cannot wear armor. David says, I cannot walk in these for I'm not used to them. So the testing here is to help them get used to it so they can wear them, feel good about them. Boy, he goes on and on and on. I'm not going to read that whole thing, though.
Ibn Ezra have anything to say?
To see whether you will obey God's word. That the fear of God may ever be with you means that you will always remember this miraculous day on which you stood before the Lord your God. That's about it. That is about it. Moses approached. This was thick fog, they say. The cloud, thick fog.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Well, why is that distinction necessary?
Because it says that this was the innermost of three areas identified in Deuteronomy 4:11. Deuteronomy 4:11.
Oh, the three concentric circles.
And you came here and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of heaven with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. I don't really understand that.
You came forward and stood at the foot of the mountain.
Weren't there three areas? There was where Moses was allowed to come, where the elders were allowed to come, and then where the people were allowed to come?
Yeah,
Right.
So the area where Moses went was in the thick of the fog.
Somehow or other, fog doesn't sound as... Magic's not the word I want, but that's as close as I can come. As magical as cloud.
Right. Although a fog is really just a cloud, isn't it?
I understand that, but somehow or other, because our experiences with fog is something that we have on Earth. We don't have clouds on Earth.
The fog comes down, the clouds are in the heavens.
Yeah, so fog just isn't as magical.
Right.
You know, if I want to think about Hashem being enveloped, I want him enveloped in a cloud, not in fog. It's just
not enveloping us.
But you don't want to think of Hashem being enveloped by anything.
Well,
a cloud, a fog envelops
like a cloak.
Whereas a cloud doesn't, unless you go up into it.
So that's interesting, right? Fog envelops us.
Right.
Clouds can envelop God.
No,
well, do
I don't buy
clouds
that.
envelop God, or does God wear a cloud like a cloak?
Yes, sorry, that's better.
Wait a minute, folks. What are you doing here? You're dressing God up in a cloud? Give me a break.
Well,
Wait a minute. What is your concept of God?
The point.
God's in a cloud.
No, God is.
The point being that I don't want the cloud to be the active
I'm sorry.
member here. I want Hashem to be the active member. So Hashem has cloaked his God self in something to prevent us from seeing him.
And this is we hear this all the time in the Bible, that God was in the cloud.
But Hashem is not seeable.
That's why God was in the cloud. That's precisely why. That's why God needs to be cloaked in a cloud, because we can't see God. It's like if you're
but I mean literally.
If you are an invisible man, the only way you can be seen is by putting on a cloak. And so when you want to be seen, you have to put on a cloud.
So what was?
I think this is wrong.
Remind me when God showed his back to Moses. Was that in a cloud? No.
I don't remember.
A burning bush?
It's chapter 3, isn't it? Hold on a second.
You see, a voice coming from a burning bush. I can understand that. But God enveloped in a cloud, I don't think he's envelopable, if there is such a word.
Yeah, but but you're still working with the cloud enveloping God.
I'm still working with God is not a corporeal something you can envelop. It's not it's not an envelopable concept for me. It would make that would make God more of a solid thing.
I understand.
No?
I understand what you're saying. Yes. But nevertheless, as people want to know, where is it coming from? Where is the sound coming from? And therefore, God produces this cloud, allows the voice to come from the cloud. So we seem to think that God is enveloped by the cloud.
So it's our language again. We put God in the cloud because the sound comes from there. Okay, I can take that because language fails a great deal to express what's happening.
Dina?
Yes?
See, there is a place near me. Station yourself on the rock, and my presence passes by. I will put you in a cleft of the rock and shield you with my hand until I have passed by.
Okay.
I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen.
Okay, so at that particular point, even though we don't have a corporeal super being, somehow or other he's got parts.
He's got a back.
He's got a hand, he's got a back, and he's got a face.
The Lord came down in a cloud. God stood with Moses there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. The Lord passed before him and proclaimed the Lord, a God, compassion, great, yada, 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 yada.
Same spot?
Yeah, just a couple verses later.
Okay, so cloud, and God is with the Israelites as they travel in a cloud by day and in fire by night.
Right. Right. All right, let's stop. Because my head's about to explode. Good to have you back, Mom.
Good to be back. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dina. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you. You as well. Bye, everyone.
Give kisses to my girls. Give kisses to my girls.